I'm Daniel, and I am a New Jersey native. Very excited to be playing in a New Jersey LRG, and I am an LRG veteran. I have done about, I think it's about 7 different games at this point, and I'm also just professionally, do a lot of different stuff. I'm a tour guide, an actor, web designer, a painter, lots of different stuff. So lots to talk about. My record is kind of all over the board, but I've never won, never got the crown. So that's what I'm hoping for this summer, playing with you guys. But in terms of my experience, I guess, Survivor Buffalo, I did get to the end, to the final tribal council in that. That was really exciting. Didn't win, obviously, like I said before. And then also in Survivor Brooklyn South, I also made it to the final tribal council there as well. So both of those I'm pretty proud of. And then unfortunately, Survivor New York, I played last summer in their season 7, and that was one I was really, really looking forward to playing. And tragically, I was the first one voted out of that game. And so that's a black mark on my record there. Looking ahead at Stranded, in terms of some of the lessons learned, I think my main lesson that I've taken away is getting to the end and not getting any votes. There's multiple reasons for that. And my takeaway from that, I think, was that just basically I didn't make those social bonds with people that I needed to in order to make the case that I deserve their votes. And I think in the past, there's been some games where I've overcorrected and tried really, really hard to make people like me. And that has backfired. So I want to kind of avoid that and just be myself and just kind of really, lock in with certain people. And so that's my overarching strategy. I have some more detailed strategy as well, but I don't know how much you want to get into all of that. In terms of the name Stranded, it definitely brings to mind just deprivation, not having resources available to us. And maybe, that extends to taking away idols, taking away shot in the dark, making it a very, very much just it is you and you alone, and it is you against everybody else, and you don't have that help, that sort of those idols and things that can kind of spin the game out or spin the game on its head, kind of. So I don't know, maybe that's where you're going with it, but I have no clue. When I think of that phrase, nowhere to hide, my fear with that is that it's going to be very, very potentially very small tribes, 5-person tribes, 6-person tribes. That for me is what I think of when I think of nowhere to hide, that you don't have those 8 or 9 people to hide behind, that it is you, and you've got to make those early connections as quickly as you can with a handful of people. And if you don't get along with those people, tough, you're going to be out on your ass. So that's kind of what that brings to mind for me. It's a little scary to think about that, but that's the game, and you gotta go in. Sometimes you're gonna go in scared about things like that. Definitely, yeah. I am day -1 fan of Survivor. I was a fan before it even aired. I read about it in a newspaper, an old-fashioned actual paper newspaper, and was like, "Oh my God, I have to watch this show. That sounds amazing." So I tuned in like everybody else in the summer of 2000 and was just glued to the TV. I don't consider myself super duper fan to where I know the boot orders. I know the tribe names. I don't know all of that stuff, but I have a general kind of sense of how each season goes, basically. Yeah, I love, I've actually been wanting to go and rewatch it. Love Micronesia. That's not, I know, a hot take. Everybody really there's a lot of love for Micronesia, the first fans versus favorites. But I remember watching that season live and just dying, laughing about it with my family, with my friends. So I do want to rewatch that. And that is one of my favorite seasons. In terms of maybe kind of a newer season that I like, David versus Goliath is the cast for that is untouchable. Every single one of those cast members is a home run. I think my favorite player, I've gone back and forth on this quite a lot, but obviously there's many, many, many that I really enjoy. But if there was somebody I really wanted to kind of model my game after, it might be Jonathan Penner. I think he is somebody that I feel you can't put him in a box. You can't say hero, villain, I think he just transcends all categories, and he was in the entertainment industry, which is something that I have done, some TV and film and theater and stuff like that, and I think he uses that storytelling ability to shape narratives for people and to create the narrative that he wants to kind of portray to people, I think, if that makes sense. Not intensely, no. I'm trying to do some, I'm in my mid 40s now, so I'm trying to do some stretching and yoga and stuff like that so that I don't massively injure myself out there on the playing field. So I'm trying to just get my body a little bit ready for it. And then I do live in an urban area. It is tricky to do this, but I would like to practice with flint, and just in case that's part of it as well, making fire. Obviously time is ticking, but I'd like to be able to get to that before we get out there. I am nervous about it just because I am on the older side. I don't know if I'm going to be the oldest person out there, but chances are good I'm at least going to be, one of two or maybe three people that are on the higher end of the age spectrum. So that does make me nervous that I may or may not be able to uphold my end of the physical challenges. I just want to, I don't necessarily want to excel in the challenges. I want to make sure that we win if we can. But my ultimate goal is to just not be an anchor on the tribe in a challenge and not be the one that is causing us to lose. That's kind of it's like when you're two guys being chased by a bear through the woods, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the other guy. So I just want to make sure that I'm not the slowest one. I'm not the one, causing the tribe to lose. Basically, that's my goal. The only way to kind of handle that from my point of view is to make that into an opportunity to buy myself some more time with them, to make a connection with them, to bond us together. Kind of the way that Randon and Venus were kind of getting there before Randon got medically evacuated. But if I was in, let's say I was on the block, let's say it was I was searching for an idol because we're going to tribal and I know I'm getting votes, that's a different situation. Then I'm using that idol, that tribal, and I don't really care if the person catches me or not, because I already know my name is out there and I'm getting votes. So I'm just gonna basically say, hey, listen, I'm safe. So figure out what you're gonna do, because I'm not going home. That's a different scenario, but that could be part of it as well. And I just know from experience in this kind of game where you have just a limited number of minutes to make those decisions, if that's who the votes are going on and it's just making its way to me, and that's already been discussed, it's gonna be hard to scramble and make that happen any other way. So in my head, I would say that sucks, but as long as it's not me, and just try to make the most of it and go and make a new plan a few minutes later after that vote happens. But I know from a practical standpoint that to put myself at risk to save somebody else is probably going to backfire on me in a game of this length. And as far as friendships go, pre-existing friendships, I do want to make that into an opportunity because there's just so little time to get to know people that I really have to make the most of those chances when there's a pre-existing relationship there. I definitely want to work with that person. And then as far as morals go, such an interesting question. I mean, obviously, I do have some morals, but whether they're gonna come into play or not, I don't know. But like I said earlier, it is, if it's down to me or somebody that I know, obviously I'm gonna try to protect myself. I would like to think that I wouldn't necessarily be hung up on my morals, but I know that I have been in the past. So who knows? It could come into play. I have been sort of playing with the idea lately of playing kind of a Gabler type game. And I don't particularly like Gabler as a person, but I think for my demographic, for an older, slightly kind of offbeat, off kilter kind of guy, it's not a bad strategy. And I think, that is kind of the way I want to play. I want to play kind of a quiet social game, but with a few moments where I stick those jaws out and, snap up somebody and make a little bit of a splash there, make people a little bit afraid to come after me. And I think if I can walk that line, if I can, walk that balancing beam, I think that might be a good path to the end, to winning the game.
Awesome. Well, will Daniel survive being stranded? Only time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't wait to get out there. It's going to be so much fun.